Hey, folks, glad you could be here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, and recently, I'm always come up with ideas for my shows, and very recently I went to a unfortunate memorial service for a very dear friend of mine. His name is Richard Thomas, and Richard, a great man, very good friend, known him for about 25 years. And Richard was the president of Kentucky Fried Chicken, started his own little company called Bojangles, and then 25 some odd years ago, 30 years ago, opened up this little health food cafe. I know, ironic, right? It was called it still is called R. Thomas Grill here in Atlanta. And Richard and I were very good friends for many, many years. And over the years, I met a lot of people through him, and he met a lot of people through me. And so at the memorial service, we ran into a lot of people I hadn't seen in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And it was interesting because these are people that are sometimes in the health field, sometimes not. And some of them looked really great, and some of them didn't. And Richard was on in his years. He lived a very, very full life. And the thing that took him down was he fell and hit his head. When he hit his head, they had to have surgery to remove the blood, and that was building up in his brain. And he had pneumonia, and he died from pneumonia. So all in all, if it wasn't for the fall, Richard would still be humping and pumping today, I'm sure. And it was just interesting because running into people looked at me and other people there, and I'm covering my story here today, and they said, "You look great. You haven't changed in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You look so much like you did years ago. What's your secret?" So I thought today we'd talk about what's the secret. What's the secret to slowing down the aging process? And what's the secret, or it's not a secret, what are you doing to speed up the aging process? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about mistakes that you're making that make you age faster. And these are some things that you're probably doing every day. Many times they're very innocent. And you're going to say, "I didn't realize that." And then hopefully you could change it so we can go ahead and get you to slow down the aging process. Now, again, you know people like Richard, well into their 80s and 90s, driving, running businesses, doing perfectly fine. And then you know 40 and 50-year-olds who just look awful. I know you do that. Don't lie to me. I know you do. You'll meet somebody and you find out how old they are and you go, "Ooh, they look awful." And I'm young. I'm older than them, or I'm younger than them. So, ooh, that's great. You do it. I know you do. It's human nature. But why does some people age faster than others? Could it be genetics? Yes, somewhat. But if you have good genes, you want to play your strong suit. You want to, take care of those good genes. If you don't have good genes, well, then you better be more careful than everybody else to not speed up the aging process, to not have issues like that. So let's talk about a few things. Of course, have to talk about food. And folks, if you're just joining us, I am Dr. Joe Esposito. I'm board certified in chiropractic, board certified in orthopedics, board certified in pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author, nationally syndicated radio show host, and I've been in practice over 30 years. So these credentials qualify me to give you this advice because this is healthcare that really, really works. These are the things that I incorporate into my life every single day. And when I learn new ones that work, I use them. And if I find out something isn't working, I get rid of it. So you don't have to know these things. You just have to know where to turn to get the information, and that's this show. Oh, by the way, we archive these shows on my website, drjoeesposito.com. And we have hundreds and hundreds of hours of radio shows. I have a YouTube channel. You can access it through YouTube, or you can go through my website and access it. And we videotape a lot of my live lectures. And it's so cool because a lot of people, every week I get emails from all over the world, England, Japan. Apparently Russia's, I'm very popular in Russia. And people always ask for souvenirs. It's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know where this came from, but Romania, Russia, Yugoslavia, they'll say, "Please send me a souvenir with your logo on it from your radio station." And I don't know why that's a big thing, but it's kind of cool. But the YouTube channel is very, very popular as well because some people are visual learners. And we can teach you things we can't show you on the radio because so much of healthcare is physical, not chemical. And you keep trying to treat it chemically, and you're wrong. And that's why you may be eating right, and I have patients come in all the time. "Dr. Joe, I'm eating right, and I'm exercising, and I'm taking all these supplements, and I took this drug or that drug, it's surgery, whatever it is, and they're just not getting the results." And then I say to them, maybe it's neck pain or back pain. I say, if the bones in the spine move out of place, you pinch a nerve and it hurts. Did anyone ever mention unpinching the nerve? And unless they've been to one of my lectures or been to a chiropractor, they'll say, "Well, no. And then they'll look at me and they'll say, well, that makes sense. And then we say, okay, let's try the physical aspect of health, not just the chemical. And in most cases, it works great. So there is a physical component that has to be addressed, but we'll talk a little bit about bad food choices. So whether you're eating all the wrong foods or too much food, a poor diet is a surefire way to speed up your aging process. And if we study Sanskrit, which is Indian scripture from India, and they have a story very similar to Adam and Eve. And their story goes that God said to Adam and Eve, or whatever names of their people are, that you could eat anything you want in the garden, and you can eat as much as you want in the garden, but you can't take more than you need. So their spin on the Adam and Eve story is that Eve took a bite of the apple, or whatever it was, and that was more food than she needed. And so original sin in Sanskrit is gluttony. And it's interesting because to this day, all of us, myself included, have been guilty of eating too much. And it took me years to figure that out. When I finally realized it and I cut back on my amount of food, my life got so much better. Because the number one consumer of energy we have as humans is romance, and the number two consumer is digestion. And it's so important that you take the stress off your digestive system. And one of the ways we can do that is eat less food. Now, you want to eat quality food. So if you're eating a bunch of junk and there's only a little bit of nutrients in it, your body's trying desperately to pull these little bit of nutrients out of a double beef cheeseburger. But if you're eating a salad, I had some hummus and celery before I went on the air. I make my own hummus. Can of organic chickpeas, tahini, lemon juice, olive oil, a little bit of salt, drop of water or two, put it in a food processor, bam. Literally 4 minutes to make it. And it tastes so much better than the commercial junk you buy. And not junk, I like commercial hummus too. But it's so much less expensive. And I like the flavor better. So that's a little trick you can do there too. I just take some organic celery sticks, dip it in there and eat it. I tell you, you eat something like that, you feel light. I was talking to my friend Alan, one of my board operators here at the studio, and he was saying that since he's changed his diet, him and his wife, and she's a nurse, and he said, Doc, he says, it's amazing. All the nurses where my wife works, they're all like such big fans of yours. They can't believe that she actually gets to see you as a doctor. And I said, I don't see anybody as a patient. But it's really cool that medical professionals, so many medical professionals listen to this show and get a lot of good tips. But anyway, back to Alan. He said that, he says, I'm eating right. I feel less bloated. I'm hardly eating meat anymore. And when I do, I feel awful. So I made fun of him, of course, for doing that. And he says, what a difference it made in my life. He says, why doesn't everybody do this? And the answer I have is, I don't know. You should do it. So eating too much food, along with eating bad food, is two things you really want to consider changing in your diet. Because if you're eating bad foods or too much food, it's a surefire way to alter the DNA in your body. Because the DNA is very delicate, and you got to be careful how you treat it. It's like a fine rose or a good woman. Got to treat it right. Limiting your calories and taking in more nutrition really should be your goal. In fact, that's why I invented Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Because one of the secrets, my secret's not a secret, what I do is I take Super Greens and Essential Source every day. No gray hair. I'm in my mid-50s. My balding spot is actually starting to grow back in the past couple of years, which is pretty cool. And I got the energy. I run circles around the 20-year-olds. And the Super Greens, the Essential Source, really is that's my secret weapon, if there's such a thing, because I eat a good diet, I get chiropractic care, I get my nervous system taken care of, and then the Super Greens, the Essential Source, I have it right here at the studio with me, is the thing that really gets my brain and my body working the best it possibly can. So if you want to get that, I think you should. Everybody should take it. Almost everybody should take it. It's on my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. So when it comes to aging, eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and eat less of what I call the 7 deadly sins of nutrition: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. The big 7. So in fact, my friend Scott stopped me in a hall the other day, and he goes, Doc, can't we just give up like 2 of the sins? And can't we keep 5? And I said, no, Scott, you really got to try to give them all up. So bad food choices are a biggie, but it's so easy to eat right. If you don't know what to eat, on my website, drjoeesposito.com, bottom right-hand corner, there's a little link, and you can click on it and type in your email address, and I will send you a link to a lecture I did called So What Can I Eat? And So What Can I Eat is a great way for you to learn what to eat, and it lays it out real simple and clear. Bad sleep can speed up the aging process, and this is a biggie. So many people have sleep issues, and I think everybody has sleep issues from time to time. I do. But bad sleep can really age you quickly. Now, if you don't sleep soundly or even don't sleep enough, your whole body's going to suffer. Sleep is one of the most critical components to a healthy, happy, productive life. So sleep helps your brain actually grow new connections. It's kind of cool because years ago, we thought that once a brain cell was dead or damaged, it was dead or damaged forever. And guess what? We were wrong. What we're finding now is the brain has a physical state called plasticity. Characteristic is what I was looking for. Has a characteristic called plasticity. And plasticity means the brain can reshape itself like plastic. And that's why if somebody has a stroke and they're paralyzed at one side of their body, we'll do physical therapy. We have special chiropractic care we do for stroke patients. And we try to stimulate the part of the brain that's been damaged and try to rewire it. And when the brain rewires itself, it starts to heal. So it's really kind of cool stuff. And that's another one of the gazillion benefits of chiropractic care. But when you're sleeping, your body is growing new connections. And it also recharges itself. That's when the body does its healing. And so when patients come to us, we want to make sure they're getting a good night's sleep because I want my patients to heal as quickly as possible. So if you're skimping on sleep, it increases your risk of weight gain, cancer, basically all health conditions you could possibly imagine. Now, it might sound like an exaggeration, but there's decades of research that show how important sleep is. So let's cover a few little tips on how to sleep better to slow down the aging process. Number one, the room has to be dark. Even if a little bit of light gets in through your closed eyelids, it's going to stimulate the pineal gland, and it's going to shut down your melatonin production. Melatonin is the neurotransmitter in your brain that helps you sleep. So you got to make sure it's dark. If you can't make your room dark, I have blackout shades in my room. If you can't get your room dark, at least get an eye mask and put the eye mask on. I've known people, right, sleep somewhat, their eyes a little open. Well, put them in an eye mask, and that solves that problem. Got to keep it cool. About 68 degrees is perfect. I like it about 62 degrees, actually. But about 68 is perfect, so you want to keep your room cool, and you're going to sleep a lot better. Some people sleep better naked. Some people sleep better without socks. Some people sleep better with socks. Find out what works for you, and then make sure you stick with that. Now, as you get older, a lot of patients come to me and say, well, Dr. Joe, I wake up and pee all the time. I said, yeah, you're right, you do. Why is that? Well, you're getting older. Your bladder isn't as strong as it used to be. So here's a little trick for you. If waking up and peeing becomes an issue, I want you to stop drinking a lot of your fluids around 3 o'clock, maybe 4 o'clock. Find out what time works for you. 3 o'clock is my cutoff time. And if I do that, I don't have to get up and pee. Now, I still drink a little bit as the evening goes on, but I don't drink my big glasses of water. I usually have about eight glasses of water a day. So I cut that off early. And you'll be fascinated. You'll be able to sleep more because you're not waking up to have to go pee. And also, you want to keep your room quiet. So some people can sleep through noise, but either way, it's always going to disturb your sleep somewhat. So if you can't get your room quiet enough, a little trick you can do is just get some earplugs. Put some earplugs in, and that'll help keep your room a lot quieter. So those are just some of the big reasons that people have trouble sleeping. Stress is another reason that'll speed up the aging process. Now, occasional stress is actually good for you. It's motivating. A little kick in the fanny there kind of gets you triggered, get your hormones released like adrenaline, and you get things motivated. Now, there's an evolutionary part of your body. It's called a fight or flight response. Now, I didn't know what that was when I first went to school. I graduated doctorate school at 23, so I kind of zipped through real fast because I was smart. But a lot of things, I don't know what that means, but I kind of like faked it till I maked it. I don't know if that's right, fake it till you make it. And I didn't understand the fight or flight syndrome. But what that is if I attack you physically, emotionally, even in a dream, your body's going to either fight or it's going to run away. Flight, meaning run away, but it rhymes, and that's why we doctors try to rhyme everything we can. So adrenaline or adrenal glands release adrenaline, which gets your body to either fight or flight or run away. Stress over time becomes a big issue because if you're stressed out for a long period of time, your adrenal glands start producing something called cortisol. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone, and cortisol causes you to gain weight. It causes you to kind of speed up the aging process really fast. So in my office, we do saliva tests to test your cortisol levels. And if you're high, we really got to get working on getting your adrenal glands working properly. And when I go through stressful times in my life, because we all do, I really up my dosage of things like Withenia, Eleuthero. There's a supplement called Drenamine that has animal products in it, so I don't eat it. But there are certain supplements that I take and I recommend for my patients to get the adrenal glands back healthy again, because they're little tiny glands about the size of a walnut. They sit on top of your kidneys, and boy, they control a lot of things in your life, including your hormones, like your sex hormones. You also have to make sure you don't have physical stress on your body. If you're having neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, these are usually signs of bones out of place pinching nerves. And if you pinch a nerve, it hurts, but 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. So you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. And so that's why chiropractically we put the bones back in place. And it's wonderful for pain control and pain management. And in fact, the American College of Physicians just released an updated guidelines, and it reads, for non-invasive treatment of non-radicular, subacute, acute, and chronic low back pain in primary care. What that means is if your back hurts and it's not shooting down your leg. Well, I say if it is shooting down your leg, it's still fine. But one of the recommendations before surgery, before drugs, before injections is chiropractic care. Chiropractic is right up there with drugs, I guess. They put it together. But spinal manipulation. Taking the pressure off the nerves, which just makes sense. If you have a pinched nerve, unpinch it, right? That's what we do in our offices. So if you'd like to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We'd love to be your doctors. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, D-R-J-O-E, and you'll find us. We're the first Dr. Joe in the world, and we'll get you set up for an appointment. Now, we accept most major medical insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, Medicare. I know last Medicare doctors in the world, I think. But a lot of our patients end up being cash patients, and this is why. We don't charge enough to meet your deductible for you. Some people have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 deductibles. Well, $6,000, I know. And we don't charge enough for years' worth of treatment. So chiropractic is relatively inexpensive. The results are, in most cases, amazing. Again, we can't help everyone. And then we get the nutrition as a bonus at our office. I do a nutritional evaluation on all my chiropractic patients. And we can also check your digestive system. That's all part of your treatment. So if you want to make an appointment, I think you should. Stop waiting. Stop suffering. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and you can call us. You can do it online. We can answer questions. In fact, it's a good idea to call because we have certain guidelines we want you to follow on your first visit, so we can explain that to you. So make an appointment today for you, your family, your friends, and your kids. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. So we're talking today about things that speed up the aging process, and physical stress, of course, can do it. So neck pain, back pain, misalignments, arthritis. Arthritis, let me explain that for a second. Osteoarthritis is a physical condition. What that means is if the bones are out of alignment, they rub up against each other and they wear out. And the first thing to wear out is the cushioning or the disc in between the bones, and that's called osteoarthritis. Well, if bones are out of alignment causing the wearing out, what would be the logical thing to do? Put the bones back in place. See how smart you guys are? You figured it all out. And that's why chiropractic, I believe, should be really a key component in all healthcare protocols. A normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. That's my plan. I call it Joe Obamacare. That's the triad of healthcare that we do in our office for all our patients, our offices. Inactivity will speed up the aging process. You know, we talk about the 7 deadly sins. I talk about the 7 deadly sins of nutrition, but the original 7 deadly sins, sloth is one of the 7 deadly sins. Sloth means laying around doing nothing. Research suggests that if you take the deadly part literally, it's true. Sitting deactivates the skeletal muscles in your lower body, ushers in negative metabolic responses. It's never too late to change. Think about what you can do to become more active. When I first got on the radio, I would sit behind the microphone and I'd do my show. And then one day, I saw a colleague of mine, Clark Howard, very good, brilliant man, standing. And I said, Clark, you stand up. I want to be like you. And I stood up, and boy, I tell you what, it changed the way I do my shows. I stand up, I breathe better, my lungs open up, I'm more excited, and I'm in motion. And that's contracting. My muscles are contracting, holding my body up from falling down. That's activity. So yeah, running a marathon is fun, but this is also activity. And activity is really going to help slow down the aging process. If you're putting a lot of junk in your body, you swallow poisons pretty much every day from the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, you got to stop that. Because your body, whenever you put something in it that isn't a nutrient, the body has to break it down and either store it or pass it out. That's all your body can do, store things or pass them out. And if you're putting junk in your body and your body is not passing it out, it gets stored to be released later. And that's what fat cells do. I always say if you're fat, you're not fat, you're toxic. And so you got to get the body to detoxify. And you've got things like lead, mercury, arsenic. In large amounts can kill you. In small amounts can essentially short-circuit your nervous system and destroy how your body works. So how do you do that? You do that, number one, the quickest way to detoxify is stop putting the junk in your body. As soon as you stop putting the junk in, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. I know that's your whole diet. But once you stop putting that stuff in, the body has a chance to start to detoxify. And the liver is the main detoxification organ. A bunch of other ones, kidneys and skin is even a detoxification organ. But your liver is the biggie. And if you put too much junk in, your liver starts to develop fat in the liver. It's called fatty liver. And then the liver can't do its job because it's all clogged up with fat. So it'd be a good idea to get your body detoxified and stop putting the junk in. And the day you do that is when the junk starts to come out. That's one of the benefits of Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, because it's loaded with nutrients which help the metabolic processes in your body work more efficiently. You got to fuel the engines. And Super Greens and Essential Source, I mean, that's the minimum amount you should do. And that's why it's so popular. Gosh, we ship it all over the world because people just love the Super Greens and the Essential Source. And you should try it. I try it for a month. It's not that terribly expensive. But you got to do it every day. Promise me, if you're going to buy it, do it every day. And then after a month, you'll say, wow, I do feel better. And what happens is people do it and they'll feel a little better. They won't even realize it. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, they'll run out. And then they'll come rushing to the office. Doc, oh my gosh, I got tired. My digestive system wasn't the same. My love life was getting not what it used to be. I need more of that Super Greens and Essential Source. So that stuff is pretty awesome. And that's available on my website too, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. You can send me questions through my website, Dr. Joe Esposito. We archive radio shows there. We videotape a lot of my live lectures. Those are on the website. Website's a great source of information, real easy to use, nothing fancy. I want to keep it simple because I'm not that smart. I got to keep things simple. And so if you're a visual learner, you can go to my website and watch videos with links to YouTube, or just go to YouTube and watch the videos and do that instead of, doing other things. Maybe you're just listening to junky music or something. Go to my website, go to my archives, and just play radio show after radio show after radio show. And you're going to say, wow, every time I listen to it. In fact, my talent coordinator here, his name is Shane, he says, every time I listen to your show, I know I'm going to walk away with information. I'm never going to listen to your show and go, you know what? I didn't learn anything today. He says, I don't always do what you tell me to do, but I always learn something. And that's why I make these shows all free on the website, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, and I think you should, on the website, drjoeesposito.com. If you're in the Atlanta area, I have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. That's great. If you're outside the listening area, we can always do a phone consultation or a Skype consultation because I can't be everywhere. And every day I get emails that go, why aren't you in Missouri? Why aren't you in Indiana? Why aren't you in Chicago? I can't be everywhere, folks. But with technology, I can help you with listening to the shows, and then we can do a one-on-one consultation if you'd like, because I want to be your doctor. I really do. My team of doctors and I, we want to be your doctors. We want to help you get well and stay well. And it's not hard. It's easy. Normally functioning nervous system, get a normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition, listen to the archive radio shows, watch the videos, make this a priority because I can't imagine anything being more important than your health. No one on their deathbed ever said, wow, I'm so glad I have all this money and I'm dying. Wow, I would use this money right now if I had found a way to be healthier and live longer. And it's not expensive to get well. It's really inexpensive if you do it. So if you want to make an appointment to come see us physically, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. You can book an appointment online. You can call us. We have certain guidelines we like to do, especially for the first visit, and we'll set you up as soon as possible. We accept most major medical insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp. I've never seen a car accident ever where the car was damaged where the occupants weren't. So you need to come see us right away. We'll document your case. We're very good at dealing with lawyers and insurance companies, but my concern is you. I want to get you well. So if you want to make an appointment, Stockbridge, Duluth, and Marietta. We have offices in. Go to the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and we'll get you set up as soon as possible. And the website has a lot of other information as well. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. So happy that you're spending a little time with me today. Hope you're having a good day. And want to give you lots of information, so when you walk away from the show, as always, you go, wow, that was information overload. My brain just exploded with all that information. Good. That's where I want you to be. I want you to learn lots. So we're talking today about things that you're doing that are speeding up the aging process, and then what you need to do to kind of reverse that. Now, if you have an addiction, and let me explain addiction to you first. An addiction is a habit that you do or something that you do that is adversely affecting your life, and you can't stop doing it. And that's it. So maybe it's biting your fingernails. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's sex. Maybe it's gambling. Maybe it's spending, shopping. You know it's wrong, and you keep doing it. Well, you need to stop doing that. And it's hard to beat addictions because what happens is there's a chemical there's a part of your brain called the nucleus accumbens, and in that part of the brain, you produce something called dopamine. Dopamine is the part of your brain that gives you pleasure. So if you're activating the pleasure centers in your brain, you like it. I like it. You like it. And so over time, what happens is if you keep stimulating it over and over and over again, your body doesn't have its own natural stimulation. And so you become reliant on an external source or an exogenous source, big word. And so you like the pleasure. And when you stop giving it that stimulation or the pleasure, you don't feel good. So we all want to feel good. I mean, what is hunger? Hunger is a discomfort. And what do you do to solve that? Well, I'm going to eat to solve that discomfort. Now, hunger is not a big deal, but we want to do things to solve that and make us feel comfortable again. And so that's where addictions become a big problem. So let's assume if it only takes 15 minutes of cigarette smoke to harm your DNA, this is according to a study published in Chemical Research and Toxicology, you need to quit smoking. Is it hard? Yeah. Is it necessary? Yeah. You know, I'm a vegan. People say, well, how could you be a vegan? Oh, I could never do that. That's impossible. No, it's not. I just decided I'm not going to eat animal products anymore over 30 years ago. Stuck with it. So far, so good. It's working for me. It'll work for you too, by the way. Not asking you to become vegan. I'm just giving you, what I try to do is give you a ton of different tips, and you decide which ones you want to use. But if you have an addiction, understand what it is. It's the brain. That's the problem. So how do we get the brain working properly again? Well, as a chiropractor, of course, I check the nerves in the neck because the nerve and blood supply from the neck controls the brain. So we got to make sure that's working. We have to make sure your digestive system is working because this can speed up the aging process. And if you're having gas, bloating, acid reflux, that's a problem. And I'm not against medication. I'm not against surgery. But if you're taking these medications for acid reflux, many of them prevent you from properly absorbing calcium, magnesium, iron, and B12. Guess what? It speeds up the aging process. So even if you're taking a lot of the product, you know, these supplements, you're not absorbing them as well as you should. So most cases with the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, and I need to manually pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm, adjusting the stomach and allowing the food to become properly digested. And that's what we do in our offices. All my doctors do it. All my doctors are trained by me. And so we got to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, which will then allow digestion to occur. And the problem with acid reflux is the acid gets into your throat and can affect your throat, can lead to things like cancer, can affect your vocal cords, sore throats, and it can get into your sinuses. The acid can go all the way from your stomach up into your sinuses, and that could be one of the reasons why you have those chronic sinus infections or I'm allergic to everything. It's the acid reflux. So you need to pull the stomach back down away from the diaphragm. Now, what does that have to do with addiction? Your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. And the amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin helps you focus. Tyrosine becomes dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that gives you pleasure. Remember pleasure centers? So if we can get your body digesting food properly, chiropractically we check the spine to make sure there's no pinched nerves going to the organs, and then we load you up, kind of front load you on nutrition. Suddenly now your body has the capability, hopefully, to start making its own neurotransmitters, and you don't need the outside stimulus. For some people, it's a real quick, easy process. Some people, it's a little longer. but I've held many a hand over my years, metaphorically speaking, and helped people get through their addictions. And when they come out on the other side, 100% of them, wow, why didn't I do that sooner? Everyone says the same thing. Why didn't I do that sooner? And they'll say, I've been to, they've locked me up in addiction lockdown houses, and they've given me drugs, but nobody ever explained to me it's my brain, and I got to fix my brain. Well, there it is. That's why I take Super Greens and Essential Source every day. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. It's 2 powders. I mix them with, today I did coconut milk because I had it in the refrigerator. No, almond milk. Today was almond milk. I'm sorry. And I shake it up. I put it in a jar and shake it up because it doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it. So it doesn't have any chemicals, bad ones. And so it doesn't blend real easily. It blends okay, but I put it in a jar and shake it up. It's a little easier to make it blend. And that gives me the minimum amount of nutrition to get my brain working the best it possibly can. Then I add a good diet to it. Then I make sure my stomach isn't up against my diaphragm. Then I make sure that I take other supplements as well. And of course, as a chiropractor, my most important one is I want to make sure the nervous system is working. I don't have pinched nerves, because pinched nerves affect organs because the nerves control the organs. Making sense? Good. Let's move on. One of the things, we're talking about aging fast, is that people ignore their risk factors. They have high blood pressure, they have high sugar, they have high cholesterol, and they don't do anything about it. Now, I'm not against drugs and I'm not against surgery. Sometimes you need them. But I always say, take the drugs, take the medication, but let's get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. And I can't tell you how many patients all over the world, or not patients, even listeners, send me emails and they say, I love your approach that you try to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. That's what we do, and we do it really well. My doctors are really good at what they do. And my doctors that work with me are my personal doctors as well. So I'm a patient. You got to realize I'm a patient just like you. So I want to make sure I'm surrounding myself with the best of the best. So if you're ignoring these warning signs, you're going to have trouble. You may have a heart attack. You might have a stroke. So get your screenings done. Find out what's going on. And then if you want to try a natural approach, non-drug, non-surgical approach, we would love to be part of the team of doctors that work with you. We get referrals from neurosurgeons, vascular surgeons, nurses, psychiatrists. They'll say, Dr. Joe, we don't know what else to do with this patient. We want you to take a look at him. Give us your opinion. And I'll look at them and I'll say, yeah, they got a chiropractic case, or no, they don't. Maybe they need surgery. Maybe they need counseling. Sometimes it's a mental issue. And I support counseling 1,000,000%, because sometimes you need to get things worked through chemically, physically, and emotionally. And that's when the body gets well. And that's why a lot of counselors send me patients. They're taking care of the mental part, or even priests. They'll take care of the spiritual part, but they need help with the physical part. And you got to cut out the foods that are causing a lot of problems. So, for example, let's say blood pressure. We're always taught that salt, is bad for your blood pressure, right? Say yes. Okay, good. So sugar can retain fluid and raise your blood pressure. But there are certain salts that are better. You could do something like Himalayan salt, air-dried sea salt. They're usually pink or gray. Celtic salt. Those are good salts. Those salts have over 70 different minerals in it to help the body work more efficiently. When you're using white table salt, iodized junk salt, that's when you start to have problems. But until recently, nobody really looked at sugar as being as bad or worse than salt, and the reason is this. Sugar causes your body to release insulin. You eat sugar, the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin goes to the cells and kind of acts like a key. It unlocks the cell, goes through a series of enzymatic processes, and the cell opens up and allows sugar to come in. If you eat too much sugar, you produce too much insulin, and the cells will become insulin resistant. That means you've put so much insulin out there, the cells are like, dude, I can't open my door anymore and let any more sugar in. I'm just going to burst. It's going to gunk up my works. I can't let any more sugar in. And so now the cells are resistant to insulin opening them up. And so what do? You produce more insulin. And so too much insulin means you're using up a nutrient called magnesium. Magnesium is part of the insulin molecule. And when insulin is produced, we're wasting magnesium. Magnesium is necessary for other things as well. It relaxes your blood vessels and opens up your blood vessels. So if you're low in magnesium, you can't open up your blood vessels. The blood vessels stay smaller and tighter. And I think it's the first rule of hydrodynamics, right? The smaller the vessel, the smaller the tube, the higher the pressure. And so the blood vessels aren't opening up and relaxing, so the blood that you have is rushing through a smaller tube, smaller blood vessel, and the pressure goes up. Another reason to cut out your sugar along with your salt. Another thing I find when it comes to high blood pressure, and I see this a lot, is people will have acid reflux or heartburn. The stomach is up against the diaphragm. Now, one of the main nerves that controls the digestive system is called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. That vagus nerve also has a major control over your heart. So if the stomach or the digestive system is being irritated, it's sending a neurological impulse up the vagus nerve, sending a branch to the heart, which can cause the heart to beat faster or irregularly. And I have this condition. When my stomach is up against my diaphragm, my heart just beats very irregularly, erratically. It'll skip beats. And for years, I suffered with this condition, not knowing what it was, until I finally realized what it was one day. And I realized how to fix it. I grabbed one of my doctors. I taught him. I said, try this and see what happens. My heartbeat went back to normal. And many times I'll have people with acid reflux or heartburn. We fix their digestive system. Their blood pressure goes back to normal as well. So there's a physical connection, not just a chemical connection. So many people try to treat their problems chemically when the problems are physical. Another thing that'll speed up the aging process, you got to get rid of your scented candles. What? Let me cover that. Researchers from Trends in Molecular Medicine have discovered several probable, it's called gerontogens. Gerontology speeds up the aging process. These are environmental factors that speed up the aging process. One surprising finding, your favorite scented candles could make you age faster. Most scented candles are made with paraffin wax and scented with synthetic fragrances, both of which are derived from petroleum. So when you burn paraffin wax or scented candles, even soy wax candles in the house, a lot of cancer-causing chemicals are being released, and a lot of these chemicals also accelerate the aging process. And chemicals like benzene, which is another one to speed up the aging process, and toluene. I hope I'm saying that right. And these chemicals can actually speed up the aging process. Toxic candle soot can linger for long periods of time, and so keep getting you over and over and over again. So you want to avoid this indoor pollution that's speeding up the aging process. Skip your candles and open your windows if you want fresh air. If you're going to burn candles, and I'm okay with that, they can be romantic, they can be fun, make sure they're either soy wax or beeswax, and make sure if they're scented, they're only scented with real essential oils and not synthetic fragrances. So there's the rule. I'll negotiate with you again. You can burn candles, just burn the healthy ones. Don't switch traditional cigarettes for e-cigarettes. I'm seeing this a lot, especially with the younger generation. And I mean, cigarette smoking, of course, really ages you. Because I used to say in my lectures that you get 100 billion free radicals for every puff of cigarettes. Now, a free radical is like Pac-Man. It eats through things. Waka, 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 waka. And it's eating through your body. And you get 100 billion? Yeah. Per puff. And that was a lot. Well, I found some new research that I was wrong, so I have to correct that. It's not 100 billion free radicals. It's 100 trillion free radicals for every puff of cigarettes that you take. Now, these Pac-Men eat away at your connective tissue and cause the skin to wrinkle. And that speeds up the aging process physically as well as physiologically. So swapping out a regular cigarette for an e-cigarette, it doesn't really solve the problem. The aerosol devices, they're under the Food and Drug Administration scrutiny for a lot of various problems. And get this, e-cigarettes often spew benzene, the same aging compound emitted from scented candles. Carcinogens and reproductive toxins like formaldehyde, lead, cadmium, and nickel are also detected in e-cigarettes and secondhand smoke. So you're thinking you're doing yourself good, you're really not. You really just got to fix the addiction, not swap out your addiction. That's where the problem comes in. Many times we'll swap out one addiction for another. And some people just love that high. And you might have known someone who's a serial monogamist. You ever hear that word, serial monogamist? That's somebody who dates one person exclusively for a long period of time, usually about 6 to 8 months, not long. And that right around then, your brain is in a dopamine phase. When you're first in love, you're in a dopamine phase, and you just want to be with that person. They can do no wrong. And then you switch over. to something called the oxytocin phase. And the oxytocin phase is the bonding neurotransmitter that bonds you to somebody. And after that dopamine starts to settle down, that high is gone, that person's gone. Then you go, I hate the way he picks his nose. I hate the way she scratches. I hate the way she's always telling me what to do. When originally it was cute. I used to date a girl years ago, and she gave me great advice. She goes, the thing you love about somebody is the thing that's going to drive you crazy about them. And boy, was she ever right. I was young at the time, and ever since then, she's absolutely right. So be careful when you're switching your neurotransmitters in your brain. The relationship is changing. It's okay. It's normal to change. And you say, nope, got to get that high again. I got to find myself a new love. Oh, he's much better, or she's much better than the old one. And then 6 months later, that one's a loser too. So again, we're talking about stimulating the pleasure centers in the brain, and that can actually speed up the aging process as well, because that can create a lot of stress. So we talk about chemical stress, got to talk about physical stress too. As a chiropractor, this is a key that so many people are missing. If bones are out of place pinching nerves, it can cause physical stress, pain. Pain causes inflammation. Inflammation is a stress, cause the body release cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. It speeds up the aging process. So if you'd like to come see us as a patient, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, we would love the opportunity to work with you to try to get the spine and all the bones lined up properly, get your digestive system working properly, put together a dietary plan, and whatever you decide to do is up to you. I can't force people to take supplements. I can't force people to get chiropractic care. But when they do, if they follow my plan, inevitably, in almost all cases, they're extremely happy with the results. So if you want to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. We accept most major medicals, car accidents, sports injuries, Medicare. I know less doctors in the world take Medicare. But I've never seen a car accident where the occupants weren't damaged, ever, from a structural standpoint. So everyone who's been in a car accident ever needs to come see us. That's everyone. And let's see if there's structural misalignments. Let's get them fixed. If the stomach is up against the diaphragm, let's get it fixed. Let's get you on Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source minimum. And then if we need more supplements or dietary changes, we'll do that too. So do it right now. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world, and we'll get you set up as soon as possible. Stop suffering needlessly. So we're talking today about speeding up the aging process. And sugar, I can't do it. I don't think I could ever do a show or a lecture without sugar. But sugar, if you do a lifetime of overdoing it, can really show up on your face in the form of early wrinkles. The culprit is something called glycation. Sugar in your bloodstream attaches to proteins and forms new molecules called advanced glycation end products. If you take the first letter of each one, AGE, it ages you. Isn't that funny? Advanced glycation. I wonder if they made that, if they realized what they were doing, if they had that acronym in mind. Advanced glycation end products, they actually can hook into your connective tissue and break down the connective tissue, kind of like cigarette smoking does. Added sugars like the tablespoons you put in your coffee every day, the ones that are in healthy salad dressing, the candy bar, the yogurt, all these sugars add up over time. And the most vulnerable to damage are the protein fibers. They're called collagen and elastin, which keep your skin firm and supple. Once you've damaged those fibers, they go into this springy and resilient. They turn into dry and brittle, and that leads to wrinkles. So these age-related changes in the skin start around 35 years old, and increase rapidly after that. This is according to a study published in a British Journal of Dermatology. So, folks, another reason you got to cut out your sugar. Just cut out the 7 deadly sins, or cut back. And those are alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. If you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, a lot of those things are physically caused, not chemically caused. And so get in there and fix the physical stuff. We'd love to see you in our offices. If you're outside our listening area, we have offices in the Atlanta area. If you're outside the Atlanta area, we can always do a phone consultation with you, or a Skype consultation, and we can see if we can help you that way. And you can always send me questions through my website, by the way, drjoeesposito.com, about anything. We get questions all the time. In fact, while I was on the air, I just saw a question came in, what's the best probiotic? Well, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source is a great source of prebiotics and probiotics. Probiotics are good bacteria that help your colon be healthy. Prebiotics feed the bacteria that are in your colon to keep them healthy. And if you're doing that and you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, they have prebiotics in them, things like fructooligosaccharides. I just love saying that word. And those actually feed the good bacteria in your colon so they can multiply and make more. And you're staying away from things that kill the bacteria, which speeds up the aging process as well. Antibiotics, not just prescription, but we feed about 70 to 80% of the antibiotics in this country to animals. So if you're eating animal products, you're eating low doses of antibiotics, which could be killing off the good bacteria in your colon. So if you're eating a good diet, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are my only source of probiotics. Now, if you need an extra dose, I use a company called Standard Process, and I can order them for you. And because, again, if you're going to do something, do it right. My German grandfather, and this is part of my new book. I quote him in my book. If you don't have my new book, folks, you got to get my new book. It's called Prescription for Extreme Health. It's awesome. The feedback has been unbelievable. The reviews have just been off the chart. I'm getting calls to do interviews all around the country for it. Really a great book. It's on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Get my first book as well, called Eating Right for the Health of It. I've written too many books now. Eating Right for the Health of It tells you how to change your diet. Prescription for Extreme Health goes into a whole lifestyle change, including diet. And that's on my website, drjoeesposito.com. And so I'm giving you all the resources you need. I archive my radio shows. Those are free. I videotape my live lectures, and they're on my website through a link to Facebook, YouTube, or you just go to YouTube. Those are free. My books, they're not free. My supplements, they're not free. Coming to see me, that's not free. But you can send me questions through the website. That's free. I don't know what else to do. Everything except come to your house is what we're offering because we want to be your doctors. We want to help you get well and stay well. And then as you start to get healthier physically, I want to make sure you're also taking care of yourself emotionally. I had a patient bring her mother in the other day. She's really depressed. Well, she doesn't have any social life anymore. Scientists are able to prove that loneliness is really bad for your health. When you feel lonely, it's harder to deal with life's challenges. It promotes a high release of stress hormones like cortisol. And over time, accelerate the aging process, accelerate the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure. And this is according to a 2007 research appearing in the Current Directions of Psychological Science. So you have to be able to socialize, take care of other people. And, as you get older, sometimes, we get older and we think, well, I have no friends, the family's gone, I'm an empty nester, I'm alone in the world. Guess what? Everybody your age is the same boat, and they're all looking for friends. That's the irony of dealing with senior citizens is they think nobody has they have no friends and everybody else does. It's like going back to high school. The cool kids are hanging out and you're by yourself. No, the cool kids are lonely too. So go out, join a group. There's so many meetup groups now. There's senior citizen groups that you can go to. There's travel groups you can join, hiking groups. Go out and find people with similar interests. I'm a vegetarian. So if I had free time, I'd go out to a bunch of vegetarian groups. A lot of times vegetarian groups will have meetings at my lectures. And it becomes an outing. It becomes a social event. It becomes a singles event. So you have to take responsibility for your own health. Get the nervous system working properly. Get the right nutrition. At least Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Essential Source. You need more, but that's a good start. Get your spine checked. Take the physical stress off your body. Take the digestive stress out of your body. And that's going to dramatically slow down the aging process. And in a lot of places, reverse it. I've had a lot of patients follow our treatment plans, everything we say, diet, stomach, and chiropractic. And they'll say, my friends are saying I'm looking younger. Well, you are looking younger because we can actually help the body slow down and reverse a lot of the damage that you did for the past 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years. And I tell you what, I've been sick and I've been healthy, and it's a lot more fun to be healthy than it is to be sick. And the basis of health, normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. So if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. We'll get you set up as soon as possible. We accept most major medicals, car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp. And a lot of patients end up being cash because their deductibles are higher than what we charge. Isn't that nice? Saving money, hopefully living longer, feeling better, having more energy. Changing your diet, you're going to save a ton of money on food when you change your diet. Taking the supplements your body requires. It really is. It's a health makeover. And we want to be the people that do the health makeover for you. So right now, Go to the website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe. You can book online. You can call us. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We're going to make it as easy as possible for you to help get well and stay well. And by the way, tell your friends about the show, and you can bring your friends in for their first appointments as well. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Thanks for your time. Tell your friends about the show. Talk to you next time. The show, 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 talk to you next time.